Okay, so this morning we are at the school, and make sure my Zoom class can see the board. You have to excuse my glove erasure. All right. So today we're going to go over frequently asked questions. Frequently asked questions about the State Board of Barber Examiners. So these are questions that most people ask. So for my Zoom class, if you don't have it, I'm going to show you the copy. So I can either scan. What I'll do is I'll put it on through, or you can come by the school and get a copy of it. It should be in your packet, but if you don't have it, you have plenty of copies. And it's going to say Pennsylvania State Board of Barber Examiners, frequently asked questions. So for those that are listening, you can kind of just take note. Miles and Mr. Hill, I'm going to need y'all help read. So Miles, can you get your packet out? And now basically what we're doing is we're going over the state board test. A lot of people don't teach about the state board test. They just teach Barber. So what we're going to do is underline and highlight the most important stuff, and I'm going to write it also on the board. Okay? So, question number 1. Can you read that for me, Mr. Hill?
Are you talking about male faces?
All right, hold up. I'm on the wrong one. Let me see which one. Male faces. What page is that?
Still have practical exams?
Yes. Here you go.
It could be all the way in the back.
Hold on. Let me see. Your number, what page is the number? Good morning, Ms. Watson.
1019.
And it's page 1 through
5.
Okay. Okay, you can put them down. We get your put them there. We in class. You know, class, remember 9:45. That class started 10, but I want you here at 9:45.
Oh, I was getting something to drink.
I know. We know. I look. I ain't gonna get you right now. So right now, here's where we are. We are going over frequently asked questions of the state board test. And the questions that we're going to go over is about your Barber test. So let me give you this. You got it. All right. I'll give you that one. And you got this one, Miles? So what I want y'all to do is we're going to go over these questions. And thank you, Ms. Watson, for bringing donuts to the class. We don't want you to think we don't appreciate you. But I'm like once the engine gets started, I got to keep going. I don't want to slow down and stop because I'll lose beat. All right, so question number 1, Mr. Hill, can you read that for me?
Do barbers still take a practical examination?
Do barbers still take a practical examination? Yes, they do. Barbers are required to perform and pass a practical examination as well as a theory examination in order to obtain a license in Pennsylvania. So what that's saying is the Barber test, and these are for the people that's on Zoom, and if you guys want to write this down, the Barber test is 2 parts. 2 parts. The 2 parts are practical, theory. Ms. Watson, what's practical? What's the practical examination? What does that mean? What part of the test does that mean?
Hands-on part?
Hands-on. So the practical part is the hands-on. So it's 2 parts to the state board test. So once you finish your 1,250 hours of training, you got to go take a test. A lot of barbers get their hours and they don't go take the state board test. The reason why they do that is once you get your 1,250, you get a 1-year temporary license. So sometimes when we get that 1-year temporary license, Mr. Hill, people get comfortable and say, I'll go take my skateboard. Hey, Benny, turn the heat down a little bit.
It's cool.
Y'all got bad blood. All right. All right. So, sorry, Miles, I didn't mean to say that to you. So the practical test is hands-on. That means what? What does hands-on mean?
We're basically cutting somebody's hair or
No. What are the parts of the practical examination? What's the test? What do we do every day on the floor, Miles? Facial. What else?
shaves, mock shave.
What else, Miss Watson? What's the 4 things we got to do right there? Hone and strop. Hone and strop. And mannequin work. One more thing that I don't have on there, but we're supposed to do it while we here. While we here. But and so to be a barber, what do we got to do? We got to cut hair. So guess what? Let's add that to the list. Cut hair. So this right here is your test. That's one part of the test. That's the practical examination. The practical means hands-on. Okay? And part of that test is you do a haircut, you do a facial, you do a shave, you do a hone and strop. And honing and stropping is where you sharpen the razor and you smooth the razor out. And then with the mannequin work. With the mannequin, you have to do a 90 degrees haircut. You have to learn how to part the mannequin in 4 different sections. You have to do it's called a mock relaxer, which means a pretend relaxer. You don't really use a relaxer. You use some kind of gel. I'm on camera. You also have to do a mock color as when you're putting color into my hair. So you're going to have to learn what's the difference between a virgin color and a retouch color. All right. So Miles, if it's 2 parts to the test, the first part is the practical examination. That's the hands-on. So what would be the second part of the test? Theory. And what does theory mean?
Testing.
What is theory, Ms. Watson? What's theory, Mr. Hill?
That's the head. The concept.
You got to know something. If you know something, you have knowledge. So theory is knowledge. Theory is knowledge. That's the knowledge. Now, the knowledge that you have to learn is Barber, law. You have to learn professional ethics. You have to learn skin and bone structure. Why do you think they want you to know about skin and bone structure? Why do you think, Mr. Hill?
So everybody ain't got the same skin.
Everybody don't have the same skin.
And some people got different bone structure.
Some people have different bone structures. Why do you think they want the barbers to learn about skin and bones, Ms. Watson, in your own words?
To know what like haircuts fit the person.
Haircuts fit the person. Because guess what? Not everybody can get the same haircut or the same design. You know what I mean? So like that's part of barbers. What about you, Miles? Why do you think skin and bone structure is a part of the barber curriculum?
You could have some You could have some form of skin disease
Skin diseases.
or a recent surgery.
Okay.
Either their bones or skin.
Everything y'all said is correct. But the main reason is when you cutting hair, you playing with somebody's head. The head is the most important part of the body. Without the brain, the body can't function. You know what I'm saying? So to let somebody cut your hair is almost like letting somebody be your head doctor. So this is why we become professionals, because we get to learn about the skin and the bone structure. Because if you don't know, you can hurt somebody. You got to realize we using sharp edges, we using shears and clippers and metal and motor. You can hit somebody in the wrong spot and kill them. So that's why it's so important.
And some people got the skin is thin.
Correct. Everything y'all said is correct. So just know that as y'all learning this, you guys actually become barber doctors. You're like learning the same stuff doctors and nurses learn.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am, Ms. Watson.
You said that the license only lasts a year.
So when you complete your 1,250 hours of training, when you apply for your barber test, you get a 1-year temporary license. You got 1 year to go take the state board. And this is the state board, the 2 parts. Okay?
So do your students usually have the temporary and go take it immediately to state board?
I make my students go take it immediately. I try to encourage people to take it immediately. I'm saying that to say, I'm with you all the way up until the night of the state board test. So once you complete your training, let's say when you finish, here's how it's going to go down. You're going to say, I'm going to tell you, Ms. Watson, you finished. And you're going to submit your application for your barber test. Once you submit your application, that's when they give you the 1-year temporary license. What we want to do is schedule your barber test right away, because there's no need of you doing all this training and then wait a whole year to go take the test. But then you do have to remember this. Life happens. So something could come up. Something could come up with your kids, your family. I mean, this thing is a journey. So what I've noticed as going on my journey, when you plan stuff, sometimes things don't go according to plan. You know what I mean? And this is kind of why the state gives you that 1-year grace period. All right. Any other questions? All right. So now you complete the 1,250 hours, right? You got to take a test. There's 2 parts to the test. You have the option to take whatever one you want first. Okay. When you had that option, which one would you take first, Mr. Hill? The theory? You want to get the theory out the way. What about you, Ms. Watson?
I would say hands-on, because for me that's a bit of a
You want to get that out the way.
I'm not practical case.
Okay. What about you?
Hands-on.
You want to get the hands-on out the way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So now, let's say 2-1, they beat you out. So let's say we all taking the hands-on. All right. Taking the hands-on. All right. Once you take the hands-on, you have 1 year to take the theory. You got 1 year. Even though you took the practical, you passed it, 1 year that you got to take the theory. You know what I say? Take that bad boy right now. So as soon as you finish one test, we go right to the other. All right. Any questions?
No.
All right. So somebody read number 2 for me.
Why are hair coloring, permanent waving, and chemical straightening on the practical examination when barbers really perform these skills?
Okay. So why are hair coloring? Sorry about that. Why are hair coloring, permanent waving, and chemical straightening on the practical examination when barbers rarely perform these skills. Hair coloring, permanent waving, and chemical straightening. Those are three. I'm gonna write them down.
We keeping this paper?
Yes, ma'am, that's for you. Hair coloring. What's the second one?
Permanent wave.
Permanent waving. Okay, what's the next one?
Chemical straight.
Chemical
Straight.
chemical straightening. Okay. Chemical straightening. So we got hair coloring, permanent waving, and chemical straightening. Okay. Miss Watson, I'm coming to you because you're a female. What are these three belong to? Cosmetology. Thank you. Thank you. Cosmetology. So, I don't know if you heard me in the beginning, but barbering is a part of cosmetology, and cosmetology is a part of barbering. This is why, if you have a cosmetology license, you already have 555 hours towards your 1250. Yes.
How long do the actual license last?
The license lasts once you get it. It lasts forever, but you have to renew it like a driver's license.
Like how long?
Every 2 years.
Every 2 years.
Yup. And guess what? That's a state board question.
You gotta take a test every 2 years.
Nope. You just gotta pay money. They want their money. The state want their money to renew your license. That's how the state makes money off people.
Just to review a piece of plastic or paper.
Well, no, it's a certification. Because what I truly believe is the people who hold the certifications are going to be the people in charge. Like, I don't know, we didn't get to the part of barber law yet, but the people who make the barber law are regular people, are people who've been cutting hair for 20, 30 years, you know? So one day, one of y'all might make it to the state board. I might make it to the state board and be on the board. And if I do, I'm bringing y'all with me.
No, you just better give me a discount.
All right. So these three are cosmetology.
Thank you.
Okay. Miss Jackson, you with us, Miss Jackson?
Yes, the whole time.
So, what's your thoughts on hair coloring, permanent waving, chemical straightening? I just was sharing the class that cosmetology is a part of barber, and you're a cosmetology teacher. What's your input on anything?
I know we would have this conversation, at the salon, like why do barbers have to, perform those services when they really don't do them? But that's not, necessarily true, because like you have to remember the type of salon or barbershop that you work in, because you have these full service barbershops where they do color their clients' hair. They do curl their clients' hair. You have clients that get chemical services, with their haircut. So it's good to learn them, because you don't want to have to pass it on to somebody else. Like go to the salon to get it done, and then when you finish, come back to me so I can cut it. So it's, and even with cosmetology, I think it's good for cosmetologists to learn how to cut hair. That way you keeping that one client in your chair. So
well, let me share this with you. The cat is out the bag. You might as well just go ahead and spread the news. The same stuff that beauticians can do, they can do it with a barber license. If you get a barber license, you can braid hair, you can do nails, you can do everything under a barber license. Now it might not be like that forever, but that's right now, that's what it's hitting for. And this is why you're getting a lot of cosmetologists who want to be barbers now. And whether they know it or not, the barber license covers everything that they do. So this is why barbers learn how to do hair color. Because guess what? We do dye jobs. You know what I mean? We know how to do it too.
Right.
Permanent waving,
Right.
chemical straightening, everything with cosmetology. And correct me if I'm wrong, Miss Jackson. Everything with cosmetology is all about procedure.
Right.
And what I mean
Application
about
and procedure.
procedure is the procedure that you use to do something. If you don't do it the right way, you're not going to get the right results. Where
Right.
with some stuff, you could kind of wing it and get away with certain stuff. But with cosmetology, if you do one little thing wrong, the hair ain't going to come out right. It's going to be, So this is why this is a part of Barber. Because
Right.
barbers do the same thing.
Right.
Thank you, Miss Jackson, for sharing.
You're welcome. And
definitely
remind them
appreciate
that, cosmetologies, we can't shave though. We're not allowed to shave. We're not allowed to use the straight razor. Some of them do, but we're not allowed to.
Okay. All right, Mr. Davis, number 3, please.
Can I take the practical examination before I take the theory examination?
Can you take the practical examination before I take the theory? I'm just reading the question loud so the rest of the class on Zoom can hear it. We have, and it's just a review. So a lot of times we're going to just go over stuff so you guys can be ready for the test. So the question is, can I take the practical examination before I take the theory examination? You can take either one first. You can take whatever one you choose. Just know that you have 1 year to take the next test. Okay? Number 4, Mr. Hill.
Where do I find the practical test sites?
All right, the test sites. When you get ready to take your test, you have to go on pearsonview.com. So a lot of y'all, when y'all finish, y'all won't even have, I'll be able to guide y'all through all that. But there was a problem in Philadelphia for like the last 10 years where barbers couldn't renew their license. And the reason why they couldn't renew their license is because everything is online. You got to do everything online on the internet. And if you're not computer savvy or don't know how to use the online stuff, a lot of people didn't know how to renew their license. So now, even with renewing your license to, remember we were talking about every 2 years, you got to pay your certification fee. Even when you take your test, everything is online. All right. Oh, let's go to, do we got number 6? Is that in the folder?
Yeah.
All right. Let me see. I don't think I got it over here. But I do. So let me give it to Ms. Watson. There you go, Ms. Watson. I'm so, huh?
We all got the paper.
You should. All right. Well, in case you don't, I just want for this time. All right, number 6. Let me put this. This is in our notes.
Ms. Watson, I can see you years and see how it's going on. Thank you for volunteering.
Okay, number 6. Somebody read me number 6.
How much time is given on the practical examination?
How much time is given on the practical examination? And which one is the practical examination, Miles? Mr. Davis? That's the what?
Theory.
The practical is what? Practical is the hands-on. That's the haircut, that's the shave, that's the facial, that's the mannequin work. So how much time do we have to take the practical examination? Somebody read that for me.
The barber practical examination is approximately 2.5 hours, and the barber teacher practical examination is approximately 2 hours.
Okay. So the practical examination is how long?
2.5 hours.
2.5 hours. So now, that's how long you have to take the practical examination. All right. But what usually will happen is if you're airtight and know how to do everything, you'll be finished way before 2.5 hours. If you take 2.5 hours, then they're gonna know that you struggled and that you didn't practice and that you up there trying to win. Okay. In the barber teacher examination, the barber teacher examination is approximately 2 hours.
You talking to me? Oh, okay.
Okay.
Gracias.
Number 7. What if something happens on the day that I'm supposed to take my examination and I can't make it to the test site? Will I still be charged an examination fee? Yes, you will be. So the day that you got to take the test, if not, but now you will be charged if you don't have a very, very good documentation. So you need to have something like a doctor's note. Let's say you get a flat tire or something. You're going to just have to be able to prove to the people that something happened to you. But if you don't have a note to say why you missed the test, they ain't going for it. But we all know we're grown, so we know how that works. Okay? All right. Why does the candidate handbook say that I should be there 30 minutes early for the practical examination? Mr. Davis, why do you think you should get to the test site 30 minutes early? What's a good reason to get there early?
Sure that you committed.
Okay. What's another good reason, Ms. Watson? Better to be early than late. What's another good reason to get to the test 30 minutes early, Mr. Hill? Prep work. So you need to get there early to make sure that you got your ID, that you got everything you need. Because once you get there and they send you in to go take your test, you can't go back to your car. You can't say, oh, I left something. Nope. And once you're on the test floor, you can't go back outside, and you can't borrow anything from anybody. You know what I mean? So you definitely want to get to the test. You want to get to your state board test an hour early. So we're working on trying to get the state board to use here. But for the last, I want to say 10 years, 5 to 10 years, people have to go to another town to take their barber test. You got to go over like Camp Hill or Redden or Allentown. You know what I mean? Because it hasn't been any facilities here for you to take your state board test. So if you got to go take your state board test in another county, you definitely want to get there super early. All right. Mr. Davis, can you read the next one, sir?
Does the time frame that is listed from skills include setup and takedown of a scenario?
Does the time frame that is listed for the skills include the setup and takedown of the scenario? Yes, it does. The setup and takedown of all supplies are included in the time frame. You will not receive extra time to set up supplies. Sufficient time is allowed in the overall scenario. What if I forget something on my supply list? Can I borrow from someone else? No, you can't. We just talked about that. So this is why you got to get there an hour early, check your supplies, your bag, make sure you got everything, because once they let you in the test center, that's it. Okay? Can a barber fail if they do not have all their containers labeled? So when we go to the state board, everything you have has to be labeled. When I mean label, all your chemicals, so the facial stuff is going to have to, even though it might say cleansing cream, you're going to have to put another label on there. They want everything labeled. So if you don't have everything labeled, you can fail the test.
Label all the containers.
Like they want the alcohol, label alcohol. I'll give you a prime example. You see this? What is this?
Herbicide
Who?
with that talc powder.
Talc powder, right? But guess what? Hold on, where is that? We know it's talc powder. They know it's talc powder, but they want to label. So everything got to be labeled on the state board test. Yes, sir. Was that our schedule yesterday?
11.
Break is at 11?
11.
11 o'clock. It's all right. It's all right. So listen, let's just kind of fly through this. What time we got? 10:30. Let's get through the rest of the questions and we're going to be able to take a break. All right. What number are we on? Number 11. Can a barber fail if they do not have a, we did all that. We did number 11. Okay. All right. So now, those were frequently asked questions on the state board test. These, the next information I give, this is Barber law. Barber law. So I want y'all to get y'all index cards. Once you get your index cards, and the first index card we're going to use, we're going to put PA, Barber, board. PA, Barber board. PA, Barber board. And just so y'all know, PA stands for Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania Barber board. All right. Now on that same index card, I want you to put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. For number 1, let's put barber license. Barber license. Number 2, we're going to put barber manager license. Okay. Number 3, barber teacher license. Number 4, barber shop license. Number 5, barber school license. All right. So the Pennsylvania Barber Board, they give out 5 licenses. These are the 5 licenses. This is going to be on your state board test. There's going to be a question when you take the state board test, the theory part, the knowledge, it's going to be multiple choice and it's going to be on a computer. And when you take that test, it's going to ask you how many licenses are with the state board, Pennsylvania State Board. So when you see that question, you'll know that, well, what the Pennsylvania Barber Board is how many licenses, Ms. Watson? 5. It ain't 6, it's not 7, it's not 8, it's not 2, it's 5. And these are the licenses in order, okay? All right. So when we take our test, and I give you the test, the question on the test is going to say, what are the 5 licenses? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm gonna want you to write them in the same order that I wrote right here. Okay? I like my glove erasure.
Yeah.
Well, pretty fly, right? Okay. So now let's go with new index card. Barber license. For barber license, put a line under. Now, the reason why I'm having you do it on index cards is because the way that I teach and train is we do things repetitiously. So once you get all this on your index cards, I want you to later on put it in your notebook. That way you'll have it in multiple area things. That way when we have class, we always gonna be on point. Because watch this, Ms. Watson, everything that you and Mr. Hill going over right now, Mr. Davis already went over. But guess what? He needs to review it. Because everything you learn, you got to remember, you don't take that test 9 months away. So it's no need to, it's almost like, ain't no need to learn everything right now. You need to slow walk it. Okay. Barber license. So Mr. Davis, because I know you're one of my top students, what's one of the requirements to get a Pennsylvania barber license? Give me one requirement.
One of the requirements, you have to complete 1,250 hours.
1,250 hours of barber training in a school or a barber shop. Okay, so make sure y'all put that on your index card. You need 1,250 hours of barber training in a school, of course, a barber school. I'll put B right there. In a barber school or a barber shop.
Question. Can I ask a question?
Yes, sir. Good morning, Mr. Reagan.
Good morning. Good morning. Hey, what would qualify a barber shop to give out 1,250 hours? I'm sure it has to be a barber teacher in there, but is there any other requirements for a barber shop to qualify for for being a shop that can give out those type of hours?
I got you. State, I'm about to give it to you right now.
Okay.
I'm about to give it to you right now.
All right.
I'm gonna answer that question. You let me take a quick snack too. So ask more questions so I can eat snacks.
Please don't.
Like, no, I got you. So now, 1,250 hours in a barber school or a barber shop. Now remember, somebody just asked, what qualifies the barber shop? So we're gonna put that question right over here. What qualifies barbershop to give hours? Okay, that question is right over here. We're gonna get to it. Now, give me another requirement for a barber license. Another requirement is you have to be 16 years old. You have to be 16 years old. The next requirement is you have to have an 8th grade education. Eighth grade education. All right, 1,250 hours of barber training, 16 years old, 8th grade education. You must take and pass state board test. So what that means is you don't get the license until you take and pass. You don't get the license until you take and pass the state board test. And Miss Jackson, how many parts of the state board test? I mean, not Miss Jackson, Miss Watson. How many parts of the test? 2. And what are the 2 parts, Mr. Hill?
Theory and practice.
Theory and practical. So what that means is you get that 1250, you get a 1-year temporary license. But you don't get the real license until you take and pass the state board examination. Oh, now let's go right here. Put this in your notes. The 1250. Somebody had a question? Okay.
No, I'm sorry. It was noisy.
So in that 1250, you gotta do at least 9 months of training. So if you walked in here right now and gave me a check and said, yo, I need my license, I need my hours, you still gotta do 9 months, state law. No matter what, you gotta do 9 months. It could take you 24 months. Your hours add up. And then let me put this in your notes also. Your hours only last for 5 years. So if you get to 1,250 hours and graduate from a barber school or graduate from an apprentice program in a barber shop, you don't go take the state board, your hours only last for 5 years. Okay? All right, we're moving on. Here's where we can answer Mr. Reagan's question. Okay? New index card, new index card. New index card. Barber manager. Okay. Barber manager. Barber manager. You must have an active. You must have an active barber license for 1 year. You must have an active license for 1 year working in a licensed shop. Keyword, 2 key words in this. In order for you to get your barber manager license, you must have your barber license for 1 year. You must have it for 1 year and it must be active. What do you think I mean by that, Ms. Watson, when I say active?
Like you still doing work.
What it means is, remember you asked me earlier about renewing your license? If your license ain't active, meaning if you haven't paid your dues or your renewal fees, it's not active. It don't count. It don't count. Your license don't count if it's not renewed. It's just like a driver's license. If you don't renew your license, you're driving on a suspended license, your license ain't no good. And then not only that, you need to be working in a barber shop that has a shop license. A shop license falls under the 5 licenses from the state board, what we did in the beginning. So let me just I'll give you a little story, but hold on, let me finish. So here's what you need, Jamel. You need 1 year as a licensed barber, and you need to be working in a licensed shop. And guess what? The barber shop that you work in, their license got to be good too. Because a lot of people just open up shops and don't have these shops inspected. People don't know that, but guess what? You won't get credit for working in a shop that ain't inspected. Okay? Now, minimum age requirement is 16 years old. You only got to be 16 years old to get your barber manager license. 8th grade education. 8th grade education.
Isn't this the same requirements for the barber license?
Same as the barber manager.
What's the difference?
The difference? A barber manager gets to manage and is accountable for the duties of running the barber shop.
No, you doing the requirements for
Barber manager.
what's the difference for the requirements for a barber license?
The requirements for a barber license is you got to do 1,250 hours of training first.
So on this card, it's just gonna be everything but the 1,200.
On this part, you have to have your license for 1 year. So you take your state, you finish your hours. You take your state board test, right? You got your barber license. You ready to open a barber shop. Guess what? You need a barber manager to open a barber shop. You need that. You have to have someone with a manager's license. So you can't get your manager's license until you do 1 year as a barber. Working in a shop that, guess what, got their license also. Then you can take the manager test. Okay. So here's the bonus, Mr. Reagan. Once you get your manager license, I'll put a little star down here. I want y'all to put bonus. Bonus. The bonus of getting your manager license is once you get your manager license, you can give hours. So remember, it's all about state board training. With a barber manager license, you can give someone their training hours. And then training hours has to either be in a licensed barber school or a licensed barber shop. Any questions, Jamil? Mr. Reagan?
No.
Do it seem?
I mean, I was just a little.
I'm asking.
I mean, if that's the answer to the question, then yes. But I was just under the impression that there had to be a barber teacher. That shop had to have a barber teacher inside the shop to give hours, not the manager. I would assume that was an assumption that I was making. I didn't know that you could just be a manager.
So here's the deal, and we keeping it being. Okay, with a barber manager license, you can give out hours. You can have your own apprentice program. You know what I mean? So each barbershop is only allowed to have 2 students at the most. We're talking about a barbershop. They can have 2 students, but it must be either 2 barber teachers, or it must be at least 1 barber teacher and 1 barber manager. Or it could be 2 barber managers. But the barber shop itself can only have 2 students.
Okay.
Now here's the twist. Because a lot of people put people up, a lot of people sell hours, or you know what I mean? It's the way, you know, we just talking about the game, right? And what happens with that is some people don't get the proper training. You know what I mean?
Right.
You get the hours, but it don't mean nothing if you ain't get the training because you got to know the test. You know what I mean?
Right.
And here's where I was going to go with that. So with some people, might charge, you get your manager license, might charge $3,000. You know what I mean? You can charge whatever you want to charge. And I'm saying to say there's all kind of ways to eat in this game. And I'm just putting everybody on. But let me just say this. If you the shop owner, you're not allowed to charge tuition. It's against the law. So make sure that I said that to y'all, that if you're the shop owner and the manager, you can't charge tuition. And the reason why it's probably like that, Mr. Reagan, you got to realize the people who are on the state board are regular barbers and beauticians who've been around 20, 30 years. So sooner or later, it has to be some of us. Yeah. If y'all was if you was at the graduation, my teacher, Miss Hewitt, was here. And she was the one who came to me and said, she said, there ain't no black people on the state board. You know what I mean? Ain't no black people.
Right.
She said, ain't nobody of color. And she said, this is why it's so important for us to get our license and not just stop with getting a teacher license, but actually, I think after you teach, you can become a board member. You know what I mean? So that's just something we can shoot for. All right. So let's continue with our requirements. What time we got? All right, we rolling. Y'all gonna enjoy this 15-minute break. All right, so everybody got that on the Barber Manager. Okay. Our next, what's number 3? Somebody, what's the next one down? Nope. Barber teacher. Okay. Barber teacher. All right. Barber teacher. So you must have active barber license for 5 years. You must have an active barber license for 5 years, working in a licensed shop. So the same requirements with the manager license, you got to be a licensed barber working in a licensed shop for 5 years. 5 years. That's a requirement. Or, Mr. Hill, you got your barber manager license. Let's say you got your manager license. If you have your manager license, right, you could take a teacher trainee course. Teacher trainee course for 1,250 hours of teacher training. So to get your barber teacher license, you must have an active barber license for 5 years working in a licensed shop. And what that means is you have to make sure you pay your renewal fees. Okay, but if Mr. Hill, you got your manager license, right? You don't gotta wait for 5 years. Because how long do it take to get your manager license?
Yeah.
1 year. So after you do that 1 year, you get your manager license. Now you can take a teacher trainee course for 1,250 hours, which is, guess what, 9 months. You can get your teacher license. So all I'm saying is from the time that y'all graduate, it will take you only 2 years to get your teacher license. Now, the whole deal is you got to do the teacher training at a barber school. So what barber school would you go get your teacher training at? Right here. Okay. So my teacher trainee course costs $3,750. That's how much I charge for my teacher trainee course. But if you're one of my students and you start with me in your beginning of your journey and you do everything and you come back, that's free. Because guess what? Guess what you're going to use, Ms. Watson? You're going to use them index cards. When you ask me, Mr. Murray, what you need me to teach? Mr. Hill, I'm going to say, yo, grab barber law. And all y'all go, and that's if you want to become a teacher. I might be going too far ahead, but for those who want to become a teacher, that's, you know what I mean? That's what I had to offer for my team. All right. So, barber teacher, you must have an active barber license for 5 years, working in a licensed shop, or if you have your manager license, you have to do a teacher trainee course for 1,250 hours, 9 months. Age requirement. What you think the age requirement is, Ms. Watson? You said 16.
I say 21.
least 17.
23 years old. You must be 23 years old to apply for a Pennsylvania barber teacher license. You have to be at least 23. Okay. Now, if you got to be 23 years old, what do you think the education requirement is?
Graduate.
Must have a high school diploma or GED. Must have high school diploma or GED. Okay. High school diploma, GED. You must take and pass the test. So once again, if you do the 950 hours of teacher training and you complete your training, you don't actually get your teacher license until you take the teacher test. All right. All right. About to go on break. So now the teacher test. We'll put that in a box right here. Teacher test. The teacher test is either a facial or a shave. The teacher test consists of two functions. You either gonna give somebody a facial, which you did yesterday, Ms. Watson, which I heard you did good. Well, that's what Mr. Hill said. Or you do a shave, Mr. Hill, for your teacher test. That's it. But when you do the facial or when you do the shave, you have to explain what you're doing, like you're talking to a class. And these are the requirements. So we just went over the 5 licenses, which were barber license, barber manager license, barber shop license, barber school license. We went over the requirements of the barber license.
We didn't do shop.
We didn't do shop, and we didn't do school, because those are like a whole list of things, and that's going to be inside your law packet. So we'll go over that another day. But right now, we went over that. Any questions before we go to break? We're going to go to break from like 11 to 11:15. Any questions? No questions? Any questions on Zoom?
I have a question.
Okay.
How can you find out when your hours expire? Like if you've had your hours, but you wanted to check up on the status of like how long you have till your window closes that you could take the barber test.
So we have a direct contact with the state board. So that would be something that you could call me after class and we could email the state board and find out for you.
You just brought something to my attention when you said 5 years. I thought, that's great. Actually, I didn't know that you could have your hours for that long, for 5 years. I thought it was like 3. So that was good.
Well, why don't you do this? You call me after class, not at 12, and we'll figure it. We can email and get confirmation. We can find out.
All right, I'm gonna try to hit you before, because I'm going into work early today. I'm actually going in at 12, but I'm gonna try to. If I don't send it today, I can send it tomorrow if that's all right. I'm gonna try to try to do it as soon as possible, because you're doing me a favor. I'm trying to hurry up.
No, man, that's what we're here for.
Appreciate that, man.
All right, y'all. Well, listen, we're gonna go to break till 11:15. I'm gonna log off, so I'm gonna just jump back on at 11:15. I gotta make a few calls, so I'll see everybody in a little bit.